Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I feel like we could just turn this way. Hi. Good to see everybody. Welcome to our last entrepreneurship for this month. We're planning on doing more of these hopefully soon. We'll put that word out. So thank you for attending. They've been super fun. We've learned a lot from each other, so we're glad you can join us. Today is about building your team, networking, collaborating, partnering. How do we establish those connections in our community? And how do we establish those connections in our niches, right? And then what else is out there? We may be incredible creatives, and other people don't think like us, right? So how can we partner with someone like SMUD or the Chamber of Commerce? How do we partner with these individuals? What does that look like? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before we start, we like to do a little, if there's any events coming up, any opportunities for artists, any resources we should know about. And I know we kind of heard about this yesterday, but is it okay if I pass it to you ladies? And while she's doing that, on your table you have our arts and culture. This is our newest publication that Darcy has been working out. Shout out to Darcy Frank in the back. She's been really helpful in making this happen. And then here also is your free listing. If you are not a part of our artist network in our directory, please sign up on that QR code. Okay.
So this is Art Studio Trek that's coming up on April 26th and 27th, so in a few weeks. And it's just local artists here. It's kind of like a little mini studio tour. So if you're interested, there's some flyers here and up on the table there.
Rockland Fine Arts is going to have a student art show on May 3rd and 4th in Johnston Springview Park. Entries are due midnight tonight, and we also offer scholarships for graduating seniors in Placer County.
If you wouldn't mind grabbing the microphone and introducing yourself, we'll do like this, a mini introduction.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
I also want to remind, well, this is for those who this is their first day. Mary couldn't be here today, so I want to remind everybody that the Auburn Arts Commission is doing their art walk. They have a session that's May, June, and one that's July, August. And if you go to the Auburn Arts Commission's website, you can find more information about how to enter the Auburn Art Walk.
Linda Hoschler, I'm a fused glass artist and president of Rockland Fine Arts.
Andrea Martin, I do watercolor, oil, acrylic, mostly florals.
Ready D'Amico, painter, emerging artist. I'm going to be on the art tour this year and the art walk.
Patrick Storm, Arts Council of Placer County and Lemon Tree Agency.
Karen Killebrew, co-chair, board of directors, Placer Artist Tour, and our artist applications are due April 30th.
Hi, I'm Kira Komisky, artist.
Perfect.
Hello, Pam Avery. I'm part of the I Street Art Studios in Midtown Sacramento, and we're having a show Saturday, second Saturday in Midtown, with the theme of mixed media. So it should be a great show. 1727 I Street.
Hi, Carrie Olin, acrylic artist, and I'm a member of Rockland Fine Arts, and I volunteer at the Art League of Lincoln.
Hi, I'm Darcy with Arts Council of Placer County. I'll put in an extra plug for Auburn Arts Commission in celebrating Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. There's an art fest on April 12th. I think it's not too late to join in, so if artists want to show out there. And also, please make sure you're on the ACPC mailing list at placerarts.org so we can send you calls to artists and more opportunities throughout the year. We're delighted you're here.
Hi, Lois Buchter. I do all art, you name it, stone sculpture, clay, painting, drawing. I'm getting ready to start my own television drawing program for kids called Drawing Magic, and I'm also an author.
Boy, I'm impressed. No, I'm Karen Camara, and I also belong to the Rock of Fine Arts and also the Paradise Fine Arts Center in Paradise, California. I'm with the Hoonoyao in Makawao, Maui. I've been there for quite a long time, and also with some galleries over there. But I'm a plein air artist. I like to work in all the mediums, and my favorite though is acrylic, because I knew that painting from yesterday is I have it. But I do mainly acrylic and oils and watercolor. So I love to do that. I also teach. I haven't taught since I moved back to the mainland, but I used to teach out at Copperville Art School. Anyway, I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad I found
Hello again, sorry I'm late. I got a newborn I had to feed before I came. I'm Bee, Program Director for Work of Art Studios up in Auburn, and hoping to make my own art career.
So we used to tour in Hawaii all the time. I have a really incredible band, and we would go to Makawao, and we'd say, Maka what? Maka who? Makawao! And it was like so much fun. So glad you came from there. Thank you so much for sharing. We're so happy to have you here today. Let's go ahead and introduce our panel so you know who you are hearing from. These are all experts in their industry, very creative entrepreneurs, and are doing a lot of great, amazing things for our community. So, go ahead.
I'm Jenny Darlington-Person, the Executive Director of the Arts Council of Placer County. I also am a choral singer. I dabble a little in dance and photography and mixed media kind of fun projects too. So.
Hello, my name is Frank LaBurris. I work for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District. People who make power across the county line there. We serve a little bit of sliver of Placer County. But I'm in their Economic Development and Partnerships Department. I have 16 partnerships, which are all nonprofits that I work with, primarily in the entrepreneurial space. So anybody who has an idea for a business or creating a product and wants to get traction in that, we support them so you have somewhere to go, get support, scale that idea, create lots of jobs, lease a bunch of space, use a bunch of power. You know, things like that. Creates economic opportunity. I'm also here for name diversity between Jamie, Jenny. I'm Franklin, so that's your diversity for the day, is a different name that doesn't start with J. I do live in Rockland. I've been there for 25 years at this point. And I'm a past chair of the Rockland Chamber. I'm involved with a lot of other business entity groups, so we'll get into more of that later.
Good morning still for the next 4 minutes. I had to check my watch. My name is Jamie Hazen, and I wear many hats in this community. Roseville is my space, and these are my people. So I run Downtown Tuesday Nights, which is a big street fair every Tuesday night in June and July. We have a lot of vendors, a lot of craft vendors, we have food vendors, we have classic car show, we have bands on 2 stages. This event is about 25 years strong here downtown, and I took it over about 4 years ago, and it's super fun. If anybody's interested in being a vendor out there, I can get you some vendor information on that. I wear another hat in the community. I'm the executive director for the Roseville Police Activities League nonprofit, and we have Art Day in our sessions. On Wednesdays, we partner with Blue Line Arts. But as I'm hearing some of you speak, I'm wanting to connect with you as well, because they do a portion of the year, but we do some other stuff, and we do some makers crafts and stuff for the kiddos. And we serve kids ages 7 through 17 and have after-school programs and then summer camp. So we target doing a lot of different activities for the youth. I'm also on the Visit Placer Board and the Downtown Roseville Merchants and the Downtown Roseville Partnership and Performing Arts of Roseville. We produce Music in the Park in Royer Park May through September. And I'm a Mimi grandma. And that's my proudest thing, yes.
From Mimi to Mimi. That's my niece Tatum over there. You can say, hi, Tatum. I'm her Mimi, and my name is J. Ross Pirelli, and usually I introduce myself as all these cool, I was on the Board of Education and Economic Development, but I'm actually a rapper. I love rapping. I'm an MC. I used to be a battle rapper. I signed with Universal Records, so I've toured all over the world doing music, and it's something I'm really passionate about. Once I realized that the industry is not the funnest place to go, I decided to open up my own nonprofit and start teaching. So we're now in the schools, and I'm utilizing really incredible musicians, Stevie Wonder's drummer, Jill Scott's trumpet player, like these amazing people, and we go out to the native reservations and military bases, and we teach music. So definitely passionate, and I sit on the Arts Council Placer County Board, so if you have any questions about that. Let's jump into it, except for I left my questions over here, so. No, just joking, I left them over here. And here's our lovely kitchen. Please feel free to get up and have snacks at any time, and the restroom is also right behind you. We want to make this as interactive as possible, so at any time that you have a question, just please feel free to raise your hand, stand up, start singing. We didn't know you sing.
You have to sing all the questions?
I will rap them to you, and you answer in interpretive dance. The 4-time step works too. So when you do ask your questions, we ask our panel if you can kind of retell their question in your answer so that we can get this for recording purposes. Other than that, Patrick, did I get everything? Okay. All right, so let's start. We have a bunch of artists out here. We have some amazing entrepreneurs on the panel. So I did that on purpose because I want you to hear from an entrepreneur standpoint. Again, our goal is to go from maker to market. How do you make that transition? So hearing from local entrepreneurs, I'm hoping that that'll help get that mindset together. So let's just start with an easy question. What is networking? What is networking?
Oh, can I please take this one?
Networking is my jam. If somebody would pay me to network, I would be a millionaire. I love to talk to people. I love to network with people. I love to connect people. I love it when I'm talking with somebody and they're saying, oh, I wish I could find somebody who did this. I said, wait, I know that. Or girl, I know that. And so I love connecting people. Again, I wish there was a payment involved in that because I would be super rich. I also am a chamber ambassador, and there is a lot of networking involved with your chambers that you can do. Do you want me to get into a little bit of how to do that, or are we still? So as a chamber ambassador, even as a chamber member, as a community member, go look at your chamber of commerces. A lot of them have free events that you don't have to be a member. For example, the Roseville Chamber of Commerce, on the first Wednesday of every month, they have a happy hour, and it's free. And it is wonderful networking, and that doesn't cost anything. Now, as a chamber ambassador, I also will say if you have the funds available, you might want to join the chamber as a member. It's a great investment for your business. And then there's other events that you can take part in as, oh, there's Monica from the chamber right there sneaking in and out. There's a lot of good people and a lot of good networking in your local chamber, a lot of events that you can do. Another example, the Roseville Chamber, which is the only one I know, so that's what I'll reference, is the Roseville Chamber. The fourth Thursday of every month, they have a breakfast, and you get a 30-second commercial. So they go around the room, you stand up, you have to say who you are, what you're doing, what you've got to do. Maybe what shows that you're involved in, and it's very worthwhile. And there's usually 100+ people in the room, so that's a great networking opportunity for you. Sure. That is at 7:30 in the morning. And it varies between Randy Peters Catering right here on Vernon Street and Sierra View Country Club. It bounces back and forth for the month. And that's the Roseville Area Chamber of Commerce.
And there are 8 houses in Placer County, and you can find them by just you can also have lots of networking opportunities if you're involved in one of these artist tours. You can connect with the Arts Council of Placer County. There are also several arts commissions in Placer County, and again, you can find all this information by just Googling. So I'm brand new to this area. I'm actually from up in Nevada County, and so I've been doing this job since December. So I'm learning all this at the same time some of you are. Google is your friend, or whatever search engine you like.
I'm actually going to refer you to AI. Go to perplexity.ai, and type in, what are the best networking opportunities for an artist in Placer County? And I did that, and all of the chambers came up, all of the arts councils came up, all of the phone numbers came up. AI will be your best friend for research.
So I've been involved in about 10 different chambers in the region. I'm currently on the board of Citrus Heights Chamber and on the North Sacramento Chamber. I'm a former chairman of the Rockland Area Chamber. All of these chambers, you go to their website, usually have a free email list you can sign up for. You will then get all of their events that are going on. They're going to try to sell you, obviously. That's how they stay in business, right? But there's a lot of free opportunities, like Jamie's talking about, that you can just show up, take advantage of those things. Work your way in, get value out of it, and then reward them by joining later when you've got that value already, but make those connections. The most important thing to do with networking, and it's the 4 words I live by, is show up and participate. You're already doing that by being here today. You're making connections in this room, you're making connections with those of us up here. It's how you start to make those connections. You have to show up, you have to be seen, get involved. So you go to events, whether you're just attending the Tuesday nights to see what it is, and you're going to meet other vendors along the way, or if you're coming and I want to have a display and get, jump in the deep end and have a booth, you can do that as well. But it's just that interaction, making those connections that starts to give you that network.
And I will add on to the chamber, as an artist, when we were up in Auburn, one of our local visual artists went to the chamber and said, hey, chamber, can I help develop your next poster or flyer? And then that went out to every single chamber member. And now every chamber member sees you as an artist. Because I would say, what are the odds of having artists? There's not a lot of artists signed up in our chamber. So I imagine there would be a lot of opportunities for artists, right? So yeah, if you're up for it, there's one way to partner. Hey, I'm an artist. Can I do your next flyer for you? Right? Okay, so we established that we have an amazing Chamber of Commerce. And are any of you members of the Chamber already?
Auburn and Roseville.
Auburn and Roseville. And there's what's the Sierra Business
Development Center, SBDC.
SPDC is.
It's Small Business Development Center.
No, they're running the event next week with Scott.
Yeah,
Were you talking about the Placer Resource? No.
The Business Alliance. Sierra Business Alliance, which is different than the Chamber. Sierra Business Alliance, but it combines like all the chambers. I always see everybody from the chamber there, so it's like an accumulation. Thank you. Said the rapper. Of all the chambers. So that might be another good outlet. Okay, so when we're we're artists, and we don't always think about what we don't have or what we need if we don't know what it is. So if we're looking at a team, if we really want to be a successful business, who do we need on our team? Who are the team players? What do we need?
Well, the first question is, what are you good at and what are you not good at? Because what you're not good at needs to be your team members. So those are connections you're going to make at these networking events or chamber events or property-based improvement district events, which is what downtown here. So you might be an accountant or somebody who does marketing or somebody who's a good writer or copywriter or does websites or You're going to need different tools. You can never be, even as the best entrepreneur in the world, you're not good at everything. And when you're really good at something else, that's where you should focus. And sometimes that might just be creating, and all these other things you need somebody else to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I forget who said it, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but this concept of having your own sort of board of directors as a support network. And I think that one of the most important members of your board of directors, or whatever you want to call it, is someone who inspires you. And it might be a mentor, it might be a friend. But as artists, we all face that, oh, I suck, I'm never going to sell anything, or whatever. You need the person that sees you as the best version of you. And you need to keep people who don't see that version of you off your board of directors.
I couldn't agree with that more. Also, networking with your peers. For example, for Downtown Tuesday night, we have a vendor out here who he's been here, I think, about 3 or 4 years, but he tells all of his friends. So he has been my biggest solicitor for getting other artists out here because he works at the Sunrise Mall. He does that market. Another one does the Tuesday at the Fountains, and they tell their friends. And when they're having a great time, everybody tells their friends. I know this kind of goes back to the first question. I skipped back, but I forgot to say this. It's very important, network and tell your friends. I agree 100% with what was said. Hire people to do the things that you can't do. I cannot do technology. I need an IT person. So it's very important that you get professionals to help you out. So hire another budding artist, a college student who's an intern. Hire an intern or get an intern program going, and find the people that you need for starting out.
I love that. So we did talk about our 5 advisors. Somebody that can help you with finances and oversee your finances. Somebody that can help you with strategic planning and sit down and really go through, here's your goals, here's how we strategically get to them. Somebody that you can make your goals with, someone you can visualize with. And then somebody you're impressed by, somebody you really, really want to be. And then somebody you can just count on. Maybe you just need to vent. Something's not working right? Somebody you just know you can count on. So your 5 advisors are crucial as any business. And the reason why we put finances in there is even if you're good at finances, we always need to double check those, especially when we're paying ourselves. We need to make sure it's right. So there's your 5 advisors. For us, like as an artist, I feel like I can always be creative. But then when you're talking about money, and I know I mentioned this before, when you're talking about money, it just goes way over my head. And then I don't know that I have money to pay for somebody that can help me with my money issues because we are artists, we're working artists, right? So when you know you kind of need a little help, is there a place we can go to network with? I know we were talking about the small business associations. Or bartering, what would that look like?
I would say there's 2 ways. I mean, setting the 5 that you did, that's a very formal board and very specific. But you could say, you can create your own tribe. So I was in a group for about 10 years. We were called solopreneurs, basically. So a bunch of 10 of us that were all self-employed doing our own thing. But we would meet every month. And it allowed us to say, here's sort of successes, here's failures. I tried this software thing, really sucked it. It was very expensive. Don't do it. Well, that's helpful to the other 9, right? So it allows you to kind of have that board of support. It's more on the moral side, but it's also that sharing. So you can kind of point to things that work that didn't work for you. Or I found this great book from Burgess, affordable, here's your name. You can share those kind of referrals amongst each other. And we just met for breakfast. We meet for 2 hours, have a long breakfast, chit chat, and everybody go on their way. So it was a way to have that support. You had something, hey, I'm looking at this flyer I made. What do you think? Or I'm redoing my business cards. What do you think? It allows you to get that feedback. Or people say, well, it doesn't have your phone number. It gives you that immediate feedback and the support of you.
I love that. Is that something we would be interested as artists, is meeting up
breaking bread, and meeting up and just talking about what we need. And
you could also get speakers to come in. You could have somebody come in and give you some tax advice, or somebody come in and give you some legal advice. And you can trade too. If you're an artist and you can create a flyer, perhaps your bookkeeper needs a flyer to help them sell their services to new members and new folks that they're looking for. So
I think that would be good to do, like first do visioning, so people are clear about what they actually want out of it. And then you have to divide people up because people are at very different levels. So people are like, okay, I have a really big national market, I'm going to go international. That's a completely different question than somebody who's beginning and wants to sell or just wants to be able to support the hobby. You know what I mean? They're all very different realms. So I would split them up based on vision, but people have to know what they want first.
it sounds like Greta might be the director of our new meetup. Thank you for volunteering with your great advice.
Arts Council's always looking for board members.
Yes, okay, so let's talk about communities and how we develop our communities, right? We're all pretty niche-based at this point. You have your specific art that you do, and then you're drawing in your fans, right? People who like support you but may not buy your stuff, but definitely support you. And then you're looking at your collectors that are buying your specific things. Then you're looking at people that, oh, that's a nice painting, I just want that in my house. How do you differentiate your communities, and then how do you also keep them all connected?
The answer is B.
I would say one thing you want is to keep really good information, keep data, customer management software, Zelly, or Zephy. There it is, Zephy. Anyway, Zephy, or even just a spreadsheet. Although Zephy is AI powered and will do a lot for you. But if you're scared of AI, you can always just have a spreadsheet. But keeping track of different lists, so you can know, oh, this person's bought 2 or 3 paintings from me already. I know this person's collecting my work, and this one really engaged with me, right? This is a first-time buyer, so I'm going to make sure that I treat them special, in some way. I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to make them feel like they're part of my tribe. That would be my thought.
And maybe a column for their interest. I love tropical everything. So maybe if in your spreadsheet you had a little column for their interests, and maybe the next time you were deciding that you were going to paint something or do some media with seashells or starfish, which is my spirit animal, I'm drawn to everything starfish. So if you and I are having a conversation, maybe you mark that down that I love starfish, and the next time you are inspired to paint or do some art with starfish, maybe you give me a call, or you send me an email about what you just created. Or is there something? Do you have something coming up that you would like? Do you have a blank wall that you need me to create something for? Or, everybody tell me that my mother loves seahorses. I'm not sure if she does, but maybe I call, maybe you call, or I call you and say, my mom's got a birthday coming up, and I would love something with seahorses on it. So if I know as a purchaser, if I know that you could do something with seahorses, then I'm gonna contact you. And if you do something with seahorses, you can contact me and say, I just found this piece of art. It's fun.
I was trying to think of this the other day when we talked first about so that unwanted organization is not down here. So I tried to see it several times, but I just backed away. They do have AI. I don't think they think they're complicated, compared to others. But there's always spreadsheets too,
Was that HubSpot?
I'm going to repeat what I said, I think 2 days ago. I have never met anybody who liked their CRM, except for she's the first. That they're they all have benefits and drawbacks. And again, if you don't have a huge amount of people that you're tracking right now, start with a spreadsheet.
It's important to cross-discipline, like you're saying, to have different things. So like, I'm primarily working with entrepreneurial organizations, but those span maker spaces to cohorts that are deeply into AI or tech, to clean technologies, which get into sustainability, which bleeds into building in the built environment, and organizations like ULI and Building Industry Association. So I've got all these different groups. The commonality for you is going to always be you. But looking beyond you, what is maybe a common value that those people share with you? Is it the subject matter? Is it the media? Is it because of where you're at or the genre? Think of what those things are, those emotional ties of why they're supporting or following. You also need to be socially curious. If you're posting stuff online, who is liking it? Who's commenting? Who's somebody that's always commenting or always liking your stuff? Those are your super fans. You need to give them love too. You can't only take from everybody. You might have a peer that's constantly liking your stuff, or you're liking their stuff. Are you commenting on theirs? Oh, Jamie, that's a fabulous piece you did. I can't believe you did that. You need to share that back because that's how it's going to grow. If you don't put things back, it's going to dwindle.
And if you're using Instagram, make sure you're using the pro account or you can't look at your analytics. And it's easy and free to convert.
And you can ask Patrick over here from Lemon Tree Agency, who joined us at our panel yesterday. He's your analytic master. So if you have questions about what the difference is between a personal account and a business account on Facebook or Instagram, and you want to see how to read those analytics, come talk to Patrick. Okay, so let's talk about, we are artists, we love opportunities. Some of us are a little more introverted than others, so we may not necessarily walk into a chamber meeting and just be like, hi, I do all this great art, you need me, don't you need a new mural on the side of your building? Not all of us are that, high energy. So how do you recommend, what does that first hello look like?
I say get yourself an emotional support expert. I'm available. Go in number. Either get your friend who's also an introvert, but don't just sit in the corner together. You got to get out there. So, pick a buddy.
There are a couple tricks you can do if you can't find a buddy. If you have collateral, you have a flyer, you have something to hand out, that's a way to spark. You don't have to talk, you just walk up, you kind of hand something, and somebody goes, oh, what's this? What do you give me? It's going to force the conversation. You can take your little name tag, and you could say, ask me about ceramics. And put your name, and somebody's going to be like, Bob, what about ceramics? And then you have to answer. So it's going to force you into a conversation about things. Or ask me about my show. Is that? So it's a trick to maybe get them to talk to you first. If you don't want to be like, hi, my name is, pleasure to meet you, first time here, don't know anybody. It's a way to maybe force that engagement. Yes.
Literally what I thought.
It's like, hello, my name is Karen. Ask me how I asked something this or whatever. Ask me about my life. And he would tell me, hey, Karen, we're not real life. So I love that.
Yeah.
We were also here over the weekend in doing one of the sessions, and a gal came in, an artist, and her name tag was a paint palette. And it struck an entire conversation because I was fascinated by it and said, what else can you do? And, you make me one with a starfish on it. And she said, absolutely. So it created a whole conversation because it was absolutely beautiful. It didn't just have her name. It was beautiful. And if you're going to do a booth, you should probably have candy because people are drawn to candy.
Also another tip, don't drink decaf. Okay, I'm just saying.
I drink decaf.
That was the other trick of Herbalife. They hopped you up on this tea that made you just go through the ceiling. Actually, I drink it every morning.
And you're singing while you do it. Well, feel free to bring some here. I love this. I love these ideas. Another one of the amazing, like merchandise, I had a painter who actually got inscribed paintbrushes and would hand those out as business cards or pencils or crayons, right? Paintbrushes. And I imagine those are probably not so expensive these days. It's really easy to get things figuratively priced, right? So, yes, so coming up with ideas like that. Okay, any questions so far? Want to make sure we answer your question. Okay, let's talk about a little bit between online community and in-person community. Do you do online network, and does that prove to be successful? And or is it more like face-to-face is 90% more successful? And defining success as selling your artistry.
I've never sold my art. I mean, I've sold lots of concert tickets though, because my previous job was running a music organization, and it really depends on your audience. Right? In knowing your audience and then meeting them where you find them. So, you don't just rely on one mechanism. If you're dealing with, say, like most of your buyers are, 65 and over. Yes, Facebook. Yes, Instagram. But also, create a postcard. Postcards are the cheapest thing to mail. Mail them, snail mail them a postcard. Invite them to an in-person event where you can connect face-to-face. Invite them to a Zoom event if you think your group will do a Zoom event. I mean, it really depends on who your audience is and meeting them where they're at.
I was on a big day of giving a workshop this morning, and the idea of one of the participants said that Gen Z doesn't get much mail. And they actually really pick up when they get a postcard or a paper thank you card. So I was like, okay, we need that, right? We all need that.
Yes. So you can actually buy people's address, and you can do this a couple ways. You can actually go to Placer County to the recorder's office, and you could say, I'd like everybody who is between the ages of 20 and 40, lives in this part of the area, and makes over $100,000. And you can buy people's information. You can also do it online. It's going to cost, and you said that was List Giant. So List Giant is your online resource if you want to find addresses. Otherwise, you can go, if you're in Placer County, you can go to the Placer County's recorder office. And what was mentioned before was that Gen Z appreciates a good postcard.
Ask for it.
Ask for
People are taking steps to get off of social media. And so you have to be working now to build your email list and your physical mailing list, because MySpace doesn't exist anymore, and it's only a matter of time before Facebook and Instagram and others disappear, and you're starting all over anyway.
You could also, if you're setting up a booth, what we tell a lot of our vendors is to offer some kind of promotion and have them fill out a contact card. And then at the end of the booth, the drawing, you'll do a drawing for a free painting, and then you've just collected some information for your own database.
QR codes are also a great thing. Jot form, QR codes with Jot form, and even Google Forms, where you can collect all that information online, and you'll get your own spreadsheet with that information. So, great.
Controversial hot take, don't bother sending mail to Gen X.
Do not send mail to Gen X. That's funny. We do. I love what you were mentioning, because I do appreciate a good postcard, or I do appreciate a card. And that's where you maybe get together with your network group, and you guys come together and put, 5-10 artists on a card, and thank you so much for being a part of Placer County. And now instead of paying $1, you're paying 10 cents each. So,
And I would add, so postage is expensive, and you pay up front, just so you know. So one thing is, like, maybe you're doing, you're at an exhibit that's in downtown Auburn. You have these postcards, you go walk them for 2 hours on the Saturday before to the neighborhood nearby. Hey, come check out my stuff. I'm going to be at the show that's downtown this weekend. It's a way to skip that postage part. And you can also do it much less last minute, because you don't have to wait for when the mail is going to go. You don't have the variable of I don't know when it actually arrives. I don't know when they actually go check their mailbox. Getting back to the Gen X and Z, maybe they never check them, maybe they never open it. So it's just a guerrilla way to get around some of that. It takes a little time, but it's good exercise. And sometimes you meet people along the way, and you can strike up the conversations, so you're kind of networking as you go.
And the nice thing about a postcard is people don't have to open it.
You don't have to get them to open it. And it's usually thicker, it's hard, so it stands out from the rest of the mail.
Yeah, that's what they said this morning about this. Postcards have a 100% open rate.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And just to reiterate, because the video needs to know that, postcards have a 100% open rate.
And I also want to say, in terms of the Placer Artists Tour and some of these other regional art tours, these groups of artists get together and make their own postcards. We have a group of artists on Dry Creek Road in Auburn, and this year they're ganging up together, and they're making a little map, and they're giving little gifts for everybody that visits each one of the artists that are in the Dry Creek area. I know, Linda, I don't know where Linda went, and we're all, you all have done this, gotten together with your other regional artists and doing that. So even if you're not on a tour, you can think about that.
I love that. And Jenny just mentioned art bingo. Like maybe the Arts Council Placer County puts out an art bingo card, and if you fill it all up, you get your name in a raffle. We can figure that out. But coming together again, it's going back to the network, so you're not feeling like you're alone. Right? You're coming together, you're collaborating, joining together, and then see what best works for your community.
One more thing too, as a chamber member, they have a bulk mailing rate. And also they have an amazing discount at Office Depot for printing. So, and I was gonna say the same thing. When I get a postcard in the mail, I will look both sides of it, but if you make me open an envelope, I might not. So a postcard is definitely better than a flyer.
Yes.
Real quick, I have flyers with me right now.
Yes.
I keep them with me all the time, but it's for the Sacramento Book Festival, May 31st.
Yes,
and so
please.
if anybody's interested in that, we have 130 authors that are coming, and it's going to be at the Field Arts Center.
I love that. Please feel free to leave some in the back as well.
Remember, it takes 7 interactions to change a habit from a potential customer to a customer. So it's not going to just be one postcard or one email. It's the combination of every time you engage with them to change that habit to then turn them into a customer.
For your book fair, I might suggest that you target the Starbucks in the area or the coffee shops and put it on their bulletin boards.
I took it because I was going to Big Tree.
Big Tree is great.
Yes, that's absolutely wonderful.
You should hand out bookmarks instead of flyers. Yes, little things, right? Little things. And to reiterate what Patrick said, although it just slipped my mind now, I think it's because I'm sitting next to Jenny.
7 points. 7 times you have to.
7 times you have to see something, and it reminded me of the chamber. A lot of the chambers are in charge of our local billboards. So I know in Auburn, you can literally rent that billboard. So imagine if you got together with 5 or 10 of your friends again and rented the billboard into your town. So just another good way to look at it.
The other thing we haven't really touched on, though, is the importance of word of mouth. Most people will make a buying decision based on the recommendation of a friend.
So give out bookmarks if they make a recommendation to a friend. And then they'll come. Yes.
That brings me to another point. Make a conscious effort to tell people about your favorite artists, your favorite friends, your network. A lot of times we only talk about the negative when we had a negative experience, but make a conscious effort to talk about the positive experience and your positive friends.
I love that, which leads me, again, we kind of touched base on this a little bit, but how do you approach a situation? Because that's what's going to stay in somebody's mind, not a name, not a logo, it's how you make them feel. And Franklin, you kind of touched on emotion and the importance of that emotion. A good handshake, what does that feel like, right? Do you shake people's hands when you see them? Do you give them a hug? Do you, give them knuckles? What is your approach? Because that's pretty much the beginning of your branding. And then how do you leave that conversation? We often think how we approach it, but how do we leave it? Because the last thing you leave in those individuals' mind is what they're going to remember about your product, right? So just little things to think about. So if you're leaving somebody with something, they're going to remember that.
And always look them in the eye, directly in the eye when you shake their hands or give them knuckles or talk to them. It's just that much more personable.
I love that. We actually have a handshaking workshop. And we learn how to shake hands because everybody shakes hands so differently. And so if we have time here, if we have a little bit of time, I'm actually going to make you shake each other's hand to feel the difference in how you shake, right? It really does make a difference. It's that approach. Yes. Okay, so let's get us to opportunities. Opportunities, access, resources. That's why we're here. Yesterday, we got to talk a little bit about accelerator programs. And so I know you're very familiar, Franklin, with accelerator programs. Can you talk a little bit about what an accelerated business program is and how that may benefit our artists? And then maybe we could talk about where would they go to find that?
Sure. So an accelerator is basically like a class. You're going to become a group of maybe 12 different entrepreneurs or business owners. Maybe you're going to meet weekly, probably for a 3 or 4 month period. Sometimes that ends in some kind of pitch or showcase or presentation at the end. But every week you're going to have some different expert come in and talk about marketing or talk about customer discovery or talk about image and brand, different things. So you're going to learn all those elements through. Different accelerators have different focuses. And I would say it's not like one and done and you don't need to do it anymore. You can get different things just because all the people who are going to talk and teach you are going to be different. You're going to get different things from different people. You're going to pick up on things that are important to you in a different accelerator. We do partnerships that I have. There's the Fourth Wave, which is a women's accelerator. Tends to be more tech and a little bit in the health field. There's Culture in Sacramento and Make Hers, which is done by Hacker Lab. Both of those are more on the creator side, so it's more people creating products and selling those products. There's the Sacramento Entrepreneurship Academy, which is wrapping up their current accelerator, and UC Davis Big Bang, which is more of a business plan competition. But they both go that same type of process. Those actually end up with money at the end of the day. They compete for money. Sometimes you compete for free stuff, like Make Hers, the winning person, if you will. She won like a 4-month membership to Hacker Lab. So she could use all the tools and everything for 4 months for free, which is normally like $120 a month. So it gives her access to that. And when you're making stuff and they have like really cool machines you can't afford to get, that's pretty valuable. But they're all going through that type of process. In giving you business skills, you've become basically part of a tribe. A lot of them, I would say the community is the strength of that. Because even if you went through it, it's like, oh yeah, me and you, we did that thing back in 2018. We were in the same class together. And we still talk because we were in that experience, and you know so much about them and what they were doing, they know so much about you and what you were doing. So it becomes that support as well. And some of these programs like the Sacramento Entrepreneurship Academy, this showcase this year is their 25th annual. The UC Davis Big Bang is 25th annual. So they've got 25 years of alumni they've gone through. There are people, some of them have become very successful, and then they come back and they talk. So you're getting that great return. And one thing I would like to say is everybody's always, you know, we're all selfish creatures, so we're like, oh, what can I get out of this? But I want you to think a little bit about what can I give my ecosystem. And some of you are doing that because you're involved in other nonprofits that are coordinating tours and art days and gallery hopping. So, but that is, you need to feed that ecosystem so the ecosystem can thrive and feed you. So always think of that round trip.
I love that you said that. I want to touch base on that. I do want to reiterate Fourth Wave. Fourth Wave is amazing. That's the all-female business accelerator program. And then culture is CLTRE because you put the person in culture. And that's the creative startups. Amazing program. I actually went through that program and I work with them a lot. Right to Start is another incredible program that you can look to for help.
Yeah, that's a national nonprofit that is pushing for policy to make it easier to start businesses and be self-employed, basically.
Right.
Which a lot of government is not so supportive of.
Figuring that out, right?
But I will tell you, you can find all of those. Quick link if you go to smud.org/startups. That is my page. All of those partnerships are hot linked on that page, and you can go right to it.
Say that again. SMUD.
smud.org/startups. Those are all the partnerships, and if you go to the very bottom, it says email. You click that, it's an email to me. Nope, it's all one word.
Awesome. And so one thing you talked about is giving back. As artists, I feel like we're always the last one to get paid and the first one to think that we're volunteer, right? And so how do you balance that? Because you do want to give back to your community and you also want to get paid for what you do.
I think the answer is there's so many ways you can give back that isn't donating your work. You know, when I was running a music organization, it was fairly common that people would want me to ask musicians to donate their time. We're a nonprofit, we're doing a fundraiser, can your musicians donate their time? And it's like, no, that's their professional job. I'm not going to ask them to do that. But there are still lots of, we all have multiple gifts, not just our painting. You know, you can give a few hours of your time to that fundraiser, or, you know, help out. You can, you know, whatever your other passions are, whatever your interests are, you can donate there. Passing out flyers, you know, whatever. But just think of other ways to give back. Don't sell yourself short. You know, I learned this lesson as an attorney, constantly being asked for free legal services. And the other thing I noticed is that people don't appreciate when you give your work for free because they value it for what you got for it. So just think of it that way, right? People don't value free legal advice. They want it, but they don't take it.
Could you speak to that regarding the advice that artists often get to donate their work for raising money for galleries or museums?
Okay. Oh, yeah, the exposure myth? Yeah. I mean, you can, I've given, my opinion on it is you shouldn't be giving away your work. But that's a hard thing if you're trying to break into a gallery who's asking for your work. So I think that my advice might be coming from a place of privilege as well. So, I mean, you have to make your decision for yourself.
You need to evaluate the value of it to you.
Yeah.
Like, do you do it for everybody? No. Is that a gallery you really want to be in? Is that somebody that you've already tried to work on networking and create a relationship with? Every opportunity is not right for you. And you need to have your own criteria to figure out, is this worth me putting in the time and the effort or not? And that's kind of your own evaluation, but sometimes it's going to be not. Some of the best decisions are the things you don't do or don't pursue, because at the end it's not going to be worth what you need to get out.
And investment looks different to everybody, right? Investment looks different to everybody. So as a musician, I get asked all the time, it's great exposure, there'll be 500 people in the audience, you should definitely come perform. All the time, all the time.
That's my birthday party. I mean,
You know, Franklin, I'll be there. That's a good investment. See, I would perform at Franklin's party because that's a good investment, knowing he's gonna have probably all these startup companies that just come, right? I also was told at the beginning of my career is set like, this is how many hours I'm willing to give away for free, or this is how many shows I'm willing to do for free, or this is how much artwork I'm willing to give away. And once you hit that, that's it. Like, draw a line and make sure you set boundaries. And you can tell them, you know what, I only donate 10 things a year and I actually hit my limit. Can you ask me again next year? Like, I've done that several times.
I was gonna say, it's also a really great opportunity to work on your creative skills on creating opportunities, right? So J. Ross came to my gallery, Work of Art Studios, and she was having this Kids Palooza event and wanted to see if we were a free vendor. So we are a nonprofit and we help people with disabilities, developmental disabilities, sell their art. And I said, yes, and can we also sell our art there, right? So then she got what she needed, right? We was painting faces, and we sold a couple little small things, right? And my people got to practice their social skills and, you know, work with the kids. So you can say yes, but you can also shape the experience as well.
I love that example.
And so my other point to that, which has already really been said, is make sure it's part of your passion. You know, if you love animals or children or, you know, breast cancer or something like that, perhaps you pick events that means something to you, and you don't always say yes. You know, if you love animals, perhaps you will donate to the SPCA big fundraiser, or children, you know, a children's fundraiser, or something that's passionate to you.
As entrepreneurs and starting or building an arts business, you should have a budget, and this should be a line item in that budget. You know, it might be, you might say, well, this is really marketing, and I have the money. I mean, here's the cost of this work, and here's what I put into my marketing budget. I haven't exceeded that budget yet, but I mean, you have that whole setting boundaries on how much you're going to give away. Make sure that you have, you know, it's attached to numbers in your budget.
Yeah, when I had my own business, one of the things that I learned pretty early on is really hard sometimes to say no. So first say maybe, and let me think about it, and then no gets a whole lot easier.
I love that. They also sometimes forget to follow up and you're off the
I love that. So just say maybe. Don't say no, just say maybe. Taylor Swift that.
Just two quick comments. One is, I think I recognize that some opportunities are CV builders. Yeah. So you can say that you displayed there, exhibited, performed, or whatever. But the other part about having it be a line item in your budget is you have to know what it's worth, and valuing your art, that's like a whole other.
Blue Line Gallery is doing a workshop on how to value your art, which I think is really, really important, right? And when I was at the Creative Startups program from Culture that Franklin was mentioning, that was one of the things that they broke down for us. First of all, how much does your resource cost? How much does your time cost? How do you value your time? How much does that cost? What's worth it to you? And you can compare that to like, well, I would go spend this amount of money at dinner, right? Or I would go volunteer my time over here. So evaluate your time and how much your time is worth, and then how long did it take you to make this product? Times that times your how much you're worth, add the resources to it. Do you have to travel? Now you're adding gas, and that's the value of your work.
Plus 10%.
Yes, girl.
I mean, that's what we do at our gallery, right? Like, because when you really think about it, right? Even after all that math, you're still not making that much money.
You're not.
Right?
You're not, and the goal is to sell more than one item.
Yeah.
Right? I know that personally for myself, I can do a school assembly for $1,500 to $3,000. It's a 45-minute school assembly. That is very much worth my time. And then somebody will ask me to do a guest feature on a song, and I charge $250, but it's taking me 6 hours, right? So it's really too, like, looking at people's budget. Where are you going? Are you displaying at Blue Gallery, or are you doing Downtown Tuesday? What are people's budget? And so saving your collection items for some big events and having those smaller, less personal items for the pop-ups, you know, kind of just evaluate, so.
Well, and if you're doing a show or, you know, a street fair or whatever, you can get discouraged if you know, you don't sell something because then you haven't made back the fee to do the show. That's why it's key to have these like giveaways, bookmarks, candy, whatever, something to collect, to at least build your network, to build your mail or email list, because that sale might happen later, right? Like I was at an event just a few weeks ago where an artist said, yeah, I had the show, I didn't sell anything, I was really discouraged. A week later, someone had seen my work and wanted it and paid me, you know, like, you know, made the sale, a really significant one. So you never know the day of if you're gonna have a sale down the road.
Well, I haven't lived here for very long, and so I'm still getting used to what art boards and what, you know, there's so many different councils and that sort of thing. But collectively in Sacramento, is there not a big arts event? You know, is there one event? And it seems like every town has their own little thing, but is there not a big one, something?
At the Golden One Center, or like downtown, Midtown, because Midtown, you have the First Fridays in Oak Park. Oh, that's not Midtown. Is there? That's a really great question. If there's an overarching, I know for us it would be our Placer Artist Tour is kind of our really big, that's where we gather everybody together.
It would be wonderful to see an artist collective event, you know?
Okay, Arts Council, Placer County.
Sorry, okay. Yeah, sorry. Oh, no, she was on it. Yeah, the largest one so far is SAC Open Studios.
SAC Open Studios.
In late September.
But that's really out, that one place where
Yeah,
everybody
there's
is.
one
I'm
place.
just talking about that. I'm gonna take it, so we would have those. We
Yeah.
would have those arts events, and cities would combine together to have it once a quarter. And it was at Color Gallery night, and it was just wonderful.
Right, that would be great.
Was it in one location, or was it gallery night
It would
around?
switch, like each quarter, it would switch, and so you would have it close to whatever gallery that was, and it would be out on the streets, and it would be amazing. It was just a bunch of artists, and we would have music and dancing, and it would be everything.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's just build it. If you build it, they will come.
That's only in baseball.
I don't know. It works for us. Kids-a-palooza. Well, let's talk about more of these networking so that we can develop that idea, right? If that's a vision that you see fit, where do we get that network so we can start? Because that's both an advocacy piece and a awareness piece. We have to get people to be aware of it, and then we have to also advocate for that to happen. So when we're talking about other networking opportunities to showcase your artwork that may not cost any money, looking at things like, have you heard of 1 Million Cups? 1 Million Cups is an entrepreneurship landscape. It's where you go and you present, you have about 6 minutes, and you present your business, which would be your art. You tell your story, and then there's a group of people, it's either online or in person, and there's a group of people that give you feedback. So it's a really great jump off point so that you can introduce your business strategy and then get some feedback from other entrepreneurs. So 1 Million Cups is a great one. What is
Also at that landing page. Also at smud.org/startups. Yeah, 1 Million Cups is hybrid every week except for the third Wednesday of the month. It's still hybrid, but it's in person. So that's always the best one to go to. I already missed the one that I hosted that had the best snacks. But very supportive. I think what you're going to find, just like you find in this room, this region is very supportive, very sharing. People want to help you. They don't know what you need always. So you kind of have to tell people. And Mark Haney has the great saying, what are you working on? How can I help? That's a great intro, and it's part of the calling card of this entrepreneurial ecosystem, like, hey, we're here to help you. We want you to be successful. What do you need? And that starts that conversation. And sometimes we don't know ourselves what we need, right? But the more that you network and connect with other people, professionals, they can help you with that. I wanted to throw out earlier about resources. So we have the chambers, we have PBIDs, all of them connect you to stuff, economic development, the Arts Council. There's something called the Small Business Development Center. They're SBDCs. There's over 117 of them across America. They're supported by the SBA and by a local match. So, Small Business Development Center, SBDC. So there's one here in Placer County. There's one in Sacramento County. They can give you, I won't call it free, I will call it prepaid, one-on-one help because they're paid by taxes. So you can go and they will help you work on a business plan. They will help you be credit ready. They will talk to you about access to capital markets. They will talk to you about going after procurement or contracts or public processes like, like the City of Sacramento and large public works projects has 1% that goes for art. So that's incorporated in sculptures and murals, et cetera, into the project. This has even been done on bridges, overpasses, bike overpasses. Then there basically is like a procurement process to pay those artists through the Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Council. So that is a process. They will help guide you through that. They will talk you through what should you have in there, what kind of capabilities do you talk about, what do they mean insurance, what do you need insurance for, and walk you through that stuff. So it's a good support. There's something also called SCORE. They're retired, basically business professionals, and they give free help as well. Capital Region SCORE, SCORE, which is an acronym for something retired executives. But they're great. Obviously, if you're looking, you're going to buy a building or you want to do something like that, you can go to SBA. They can refer you to SBA lenders. A common trick in real estate on that is you buy a building where you need 51% of the building, and then you lease out the other 49% of the building. You're able to then get an SBA loan. It's only 10% down, not 20 or 30% down like a bank would require, because you can get the SBA loan. So there's lots of options and opportunities to get support out there. Most people just don't know that they're available, but they're right here in our backyard, and they're no cost.
You just say more City of Roseville Economic Development Department, yeah, if you're looking for a place to purchase in Roseville.
But definitely for partnerships, are there anybody from Roseville here? Because you have your Downtown Business Merchants Association. In Auburn, we have our Old Town Business Association. We have our Downtown Business Association. Again, as artists, I feel this is where our leverage is at. Because you're competing with businesses, and all businesses need things that are artsy. I think as a business person, the one thing I consistently hear is, I'm not creative. No problem, you can pay me for $99.99. It's like, we offer something that they don't have. So I've gone even to printing places and said, hey, can I help you with some marketing stuff? And you can print these out for me. Bartering is huge. It's a huge resource that I think is underutilized with artists. So bartering, don't be afraid to ask. The worst they're gonna say is maybe. We have a couple more minutes. Do you have something else you want to?
Well, I was just saying, earlier we were talking about art and having a big collaborative event, and I'm hearing an Art-a-Palooza.
We have a Kids-a-Palooza.
Why not have an Art-a-Palooza?
I'm down.
And we don't really have time to go into this in detail today, but it was one of the subjects we said we were going to cover, and I don't want to miss it. And that's the importance of advocacy. The difference that laws can make on businesses is huge, and in funding, in regulation, and so being engaged in that advocacy is really important. And I know it's easy to say, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't know how to do that. That's not that important. But last year, just as an example, California was facing a huge budget deficit. And one of the things they were going to cut was they were going to cut most of the California Arts Council budget. They were cutting the, I think it was the museum budget, or, so they were cutting all these budgets. Well, the California Arts Council had lobbyists and had a network to support them of artists and arts organizations. And they showed up in Sacramento and they wrote the letters to their legislators and they said, hey, this money is important. They were able to claw back 75% of those cuts, whereas I could be misstating, I think it was museums, they lost all their funding because they had no system for advocating, no network. It's huge, hugely important. Right now, the California Arts Council is trying to get the $5 million that was cut put back. There is a letter there is a bill being sponsored to do that. There's also a bill sponsoring that's going through for mural artists to not have to have the licenses as a professional painter, which is huge if you're a mural artist. It hasn't been enacted yet, right? It passed the budget committee though. So I mean, really great news this week on that. On April 23rd, there's Arts Advocacy Day down at the Capitol. If you're not already signed up, it might be too late to sign up to go to the legislator meetings, but it's not too late to show up for the rally that I believe is at 11, but don't quote me on that. Look at California for the Arts, look at their website. But it's just important to show up. And if you're on our email list, you'll get something saying, hey, send a letter to your legislator. You can't even believe how easy it is. It's not like the old days where you had to get out your typewriter and a piece of paper and print the letter and put it in an envelope and mail it. All you have to do is click on the button, personalize the letter to you, hit click, and it goes straight to Governor Newsom. It goes straight to whoever your legislators are. It's super easy. And believe me, it makes a difference because part of how the California Council got that money back is they got something like 12,000 letters to go in. So it's huge, hugely important that you're paying attention to the laws that are impacting your businesses and your art.
Rallies from 9 to 10:30.
Yes, 9 to 10,000.
That's right, it's my meeting.
And Arts Now is another advocacy group, Arts Now, and they actually, I'm one of their ambassadors, Mary Tess from Blue Line is their ambassador, and they will give you a stipend for advocating. So you can apply as one of their ambassadors and they'll give you a stipend and you go and generate. Tonight, one of those things we're doing is we're developing an arts education strategic plan. What does art look like in our education system? And with Prop 28 money that we get to utilize as artists, what does that look like? So tonight, if you're interested, we are meeting here again at the Roseville Venture Lab from 5:30 until I believe 7:30. And that is a discussion all about what are we doing with this Prop 28 money? How do we make sure our artists are compensated? And what does that look like for arts education in our curriculum? So tonight, 5:30 here at the Roseville Venture Lab, and we can talk about it.
Getting artists in the classroom, so all of you and your friends will be great resources for that.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going, yes, please.
Let me just add. So that's another good reason to be involved with the chambers. You're going to see Assemblymember Joe Patterson at chamber events for Roseville, for Rockwood, for Lincoln, for Auburn. So it gives you an opportunity when you're a member, either at those free events or as a member at paid events, you're able to advocate for anything important to you. So you can say, oh, hey, great to have you here. We're glad you remember the arts when the budget comes up. That's all you do. Just reminds them.
And that's we sign up to chambers, we're 1 in 100, right? So as artists, that's...
And many chambers have what's called like a government affairs meeting. That happens monthly. Usually that's a free committee meeting. You're going to see the mayor, city council people there, people from the sewer district, water district, etc. are all going to be at those meetings every month. And it's an opportunity to learn about different things, but it's also an opportunity for them to know you and say, oh, don't mess with the arts because Jamie's going to be after them.
Or sell your art to them, and then the mayor's hanging your picture.
They have offices. You need art.
Question in the back.
Yeah, I have a question about the chambers. I'm in Colorado County, way closer to Vassar.
Yeah.
So can you put on or can you go to events or outside of your community? Because
Absolutely.
you're remotely in one area, it's really widespread. So.
So I'm currently a member of 3 different chambers, but I probably do 15, 16 different chambers, events, chambers, like different 16 entities that are chambers in this region every year. So
Highly encouraged.
some of those things are paid events, you just buy the tickets. Some of those are like free events and you just go. It's a mixer. I tend to like to hit the ones that are joint mixers because I'm old, I know a lot of people, so I see new people when it's 2 or 3 other groups. There was a mega mixer a month and a half ago that I did out in Folsom. It was El Dorado Hills Chamber, the Folsom Chamber, Orangevale, Citrus Heights, the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber. It's now called the Capital Region Black Chamber. It used to be the Sacramento Black Chamber. They rebranded last year. So, but you get a great mix of people that way, right?
And so one more question, as you say that with these events, even some are paid, you don't need to remember to do the event.
Correct. So some of those things will be a public event where there's a ticket and you just buy the ticket and maybe there's a different price for a member versus a non-member. Sometimes they're just a free event. A lot of the mixers are free. Most chambers try to have easy to connect formats. So they usually have something that's maybe a morning, maybe a luncheon and an evening type thing every month. They tend to have something free because that's a way to get people to test it out, to check it out. So you try to look for those different opportunities. Obviously, the really big things are not going to be that way. They're galas, some of those things you got to buy a table, you can't be in there. So that's maybe more restrictive.
So we're actually went over our time, which is really awesome because that means you're interested and you're still here. So in 30 seconds, at which 30 seconds makes me think about an elevator pitch and how important it is to have your 30-second elevator pitch. If you ever want to go over an elevator pitch, please call me. That's one of my favorite things to do. So make sure you have your elevator pitch. Can you give us one piece of advice as artists that we can use in networking situations or to help build our community? One piece of advice.
Just one.
Or 30 seconds.
I kind of go back to that foundational piece earlier, which is show up and participate. I think that's powerful. I also want to communicate as artists, you are creative people who communicate. And that can be powerful in almost any type of scenario, because a lot of people are maybe one and sometimes zero of those two skills, right? Being able to solve something and communicate that idea. So that can be powerful, and think of ways that you might be able to leverage that or work with other people to make those connections.
I'm going to reiterate what was said earlier. Find your tribe, find your people. Also, find the person in the room that is looking at you, that you can make eye contact with, and that you might want to speak with. Tell your story to that person. And if you make a connection with them, hopefully they'll make a connection with you as well. And then in turn, they will share your story as well.
I almost want to be sick giving this advice because it's so cliche, but I still think it's important. And then my brain hurt again. Show up for the people who show up for you. I mean, that's super important. This idea of an exchange of energy is huge. I think show up for the people who show up for you. And then the other will come back to me after we're gone.
I'll put it out. My last word of advice is be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh my God, that was it. She got it for me.
I was reading your brain. I could feel that because I was not going to say that.
I was going to say something about comfort zone, and I was like,
yes, be comfortable with being uncomfortable because it's really hard to walk up to somebody and tell them how dope you are, how good you are. I'm a really good artist, and you meet me in your house. Right? But that confidence is what takes us to the next level. So to start your first uncomfortable being comfortable, to get out of this room, you're going to have to shake hands with 3 people, and you're going to see how that feels. We're also wanting to do a picture, if you wouldn't mind coming up here, and we can do one last picture for today. Thank you all for coming. The last thing I will say is we do have a Creatives Entrepreneurship Academy this weekend, and for the next 3 Saturdays. here at the Roseville Venture Lab, Jamie and I were really consulting artists on what their next level is. So if you have questions or there's somewhere that you're stuck or again you want to come and network, come meet us Saturday here at the Roseville Venture Lab between 11 and 1. If you show up to any one of those 3 events, you can participate in our Creatives Marketplace, which is May 3rd and 4th. And we're gonna set up here in this Roseville Venture Lab and you're gonna sell all of your goods. So come check us out. I will also send an email to everybody who showed up here with our slides from the previous 3 days. And anytime you need information, please feel free to reach out to the Arts Council Placer County or any one of us for that matter. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.